It's that time again. It's time for another Saturday night special where we talk about everything rockhounding related. Well, sometimes when you do things, you come to a realization that you may have screwed up. And I certainly had that this past week. For years now, we've been collecting rocks, going rockhounding, doing all of these things. And there's a key element to this process, to this rockhounding journey that I may have neglected, and I screwed up. And where I screwed up was in not developing a cataloging system for my rocks, a labeling system, and having legit documentation for all of the things that we've found. Now, I'm more lucky than some in that many, if not all of the stuff that we've found has been filmed. So I can go back and I can look at videos and see what came from where and stuff. But in hindsight, I should have developed a catalog, because the collection starts to build up in a almost overwhelming kind of way at times. And I think that time is here for me. So if you're out there and maybe you're kind of new to rockhounding, or you've been doing it a really long time, even maybe you already have a system, but I've been reading up on what other people do. I'm definitely going to start developing a system so when we bring rocks home, they're documented and cataloged. And I wish I had done that from the get-go, so I don't look at things and I'm like, wait a second, where did that come from? I mean, a lot of it's pretty unique, so it shouldn't be too difficult, but it's certainly going to be a process. I do have some stuff to share with you from this past week. So we went out to the Dixie Road cut. Here's some of those spherositerites. Very cool. All kinds of interesting little tiny minerals to be found out there, right? That right there in that bug. And even some big stuff. I have not even fully processed the material down. There's some much bigger pieces that I don't really know what I'm gonna do with them. Like this, I might try to get that out, that pocket right there, and at least reduce this material down, and then sort through it. Some of it I feel like I could just like break off with my hands. It's so fractured up, which in a way is really good. I ordered the stuff to start micro mounting, and I'm not going to pretend to be able to fully explain micro mounting here, because there's people that are definitely experts in the world of micro mounting. But essentially, it's taking all these little tiny things, these like little tiny bugs that look beautiful under the microscope, and mounting them permanently in their own little like boxes, so that you can just simply take them off, take the lid out, put it under a microscope. It's all documented, has label, all of that. I certainly need to start doing some stuff like that with the collection. You know, I feel like it's an important aspect that I've just really neglected. Yeah, who knows what else I'll find in this material. Very interesting. And you know, the whole looking at minerals, looking at rocks that are very small, there's a lot of amazing stuff. A lot of very perfect crystal structures are very small, you know? And I mean, we have, I think it's like 5,600 minerals, mineral species have been observed. Those combined to make who knows how many more types of rock. But really, I think the more I learn about rockhounding, the more I'm like, this is so infinitely complex, okay? Like, you know, most people that I see stop at like being interested around like 100 types of rock is kind of like the primary focus for a lot of people. But when you start like looking at stuff that's microscopic, it's like a mind-blowing level of detail, or just like really deep diving into any of these topics. A couple of weeks ago, I picked up a couple of books on radioactive minerals, and I'm reading through them. I'm like, some of it's over my definitely over my head. It's like that type of reading where you really like, you read a couple of paragraphs and then you have to like reread those paragraphs. But I'm getting through it. It's good though. It's good to be able to spend some time doing some stuff like that and really diving in deep. My buddy Josh down in Florida, I'll drop a link down to his Instagram. I'll absolutely butcher the name, but I'll drop a link down there. He does all kinds of rock hounding and stuff, and he sent some rocks, something to investigate under the microscope. But first, he sent some stuff that's just like straight up cool. So this is actually an agatized piece of coral. Man, it's crazy to be able to see stuff like this. I mean, like, very much so, an interesting piece, and unlike anything that we have here. And then another agatized thing. I forgot what this was. Some of the labels came off, but it's number 93 apparently. Yeah, I mean, it must be another piece of coral. Man, Florida has some crazy stuff. Absolutely crazy. Like agatized oysters. He sent a couple of agatized oysters. These remind me a little bit of some of the oysters that I found in Utah a couple of years ago. A little similar, not as they weren't as nice as this, but like the reminiscent. It brings that to mind a little bit. And he said, whatever this is, we'll try to figure it out under the microscope. He said, let's see. Yeah, he doesn't know. But this is the type of stuff that we're like, that's going to have some awesome structure. So in next week's Saturday night special, I should hopefully be able to have at least some great photos of this, right? So that'll be coming into the house. And he sent something that is another mystery rock. So it's this, okay? And it was cut, and there's this in it. So the question is, what in the heck are we looking at here? Is this a thunder egg? Well, I mean, that doesn't look like any type of... The exterior for it to be a thunder egg needs to be rhyolite. This doesn't necessarily look like rhyolite to me, but we will put it under the microscope and see if we can't figure something out. And here's actually some of the little brown stuff in there. He sent some of that as well, so I can pull that out, which that's very, very handy to have. Lots and lots of stuff to investigate. If you just start, I guess, if you start having an inquisitive mindset, you're going to come across all kinds of interesting things in this rock and mineral game, which, very, very excited to see where this will potentially lead. It's neat to think that these spherosideриtes going to somebody that's doing research on Mars stuff and the blueberries on Mars, even though a tiny percent, if it was like a 1% help, I'm happy to have contributed even a tiny little bit, which is fun for me to think about. I got some lapidary stuff all cleaned up. Now, these were given to me a while ago, and I bought them a while ago. Now I'm just now getting around to cleaning them up. And what we have here is a bunch of rock holders. Okay, so you kind of see the shape of these. So basically, you can take something and cut it to the very edge, right? A good example would be, if you're buying material, you might want to, get your last little bit out of that. So when you can cut something, we can mount it up here, and this way when it's chucked up in the saw, I'm not going to do it all the way, but you get it. Like when it's mounted up in the saw, you can cut to that very last little piece and turn a whole rock into slabs. So that's kind of fun to have. I got these things for a screaming deal. It's kind of neat to see some of the detailing on it with that. You know, you just don't see stuff like this anymore, like the old castings, right? I guess companies and people don't care like they used to. So I got 3 big ones, and then I got the 3 little ones, and these are probably for the 10-inch Covington that I have yet to fully restore. But it'll be it's always good to have fixturing, you know. That's not something that I have seen many people talk about, but just having the ability to, like, when you have a saw, to properly hold things is kind of a big deal. I have some plans maybe in the coming months on working on some different fixtures for holding different rocks in some of my different saws, and those will be good project videos and good things to, I don't know, share. Maybe do something like a blueprint again, like we did with the carpet wheel. Well, I don't have much more for you this week, but I do want to say something about myself and Sarah and just kind of our life, our priorities, you know. On occasion, we get messages, I get emails from people asking how we can do what we do. And we get to do what we do because we live an extremely frugal life. You know, we were thinking back, and the last time we went out to eat was over 3 years ago. So, you know, we we put all of our money into the adventures and not into other things. So, you know, it's all about your priorities. If you want to prioritize rockhounding trips and all of these things, I think everybody can, you know. It's I shake my head a little bit when somebody asks me how I can afford to go do this, and you know, I tell them basically that, and they say they can't afford to go do stuff how we do. But then I look them up, because I like to be a little bit of an internet sleuth. I look them up, and like, you know, they just went and bought a PS5, which that's like $500, and they have photos of themselves on like Instagram. They're like going out to bars all the time, and like, you know, they're just spending $10 a day, $50 a day, just like on little things that add up. And I mean, well, if you saved that, you could, you can go buy yourself a saw. You can go drive around, sleep in the dirt like us, and look for rocks. Well, I think yeah. That's all. Priorities, you know. What do you want out of life, you know? I want fun adventures with my wife and hanging out and looking at cool rocks, discovering stuff. So, all right. We'll leave this one here. Next week, we'll hopefully have at least some crazy good photos of these. Until then, I will talk to you guys on the next video.